Hi, I'm George K. and this is my father Niels. Welcome back to Father and Sonthesizer. I just got off a plane from Brighton to see my mate George and spend the weekend at Brighton Pride with him and make some music as well. And you spent your weekend in Bavaria, near Bavaria.
Yeah, indeed. There was a meeting of the Cactus Forum. We do that once in a year, and because I'm not only fond of synthesizers but also of cacti.
And that's pretty much the reason why we didn't get much done this week, so we're going to present another previous project to you tonight. This week's project is the drums of my live synthesizer. We have the DR110 and the Roland 808 drums. They are mixed and matched because we like the sound, and let's get into it. First we have the Boss DR110. It's a completely analog drum, and it's one of the first made by Roland, because Boss is Roland. One of the first ones that were made. It's 1983, it's the precursor to the DR55. It's got digital controls and complete analog sound generation, which is why we picked this module for the synthesizer.
I found on the website, the link will be in the description. And this website is really brilliant because it really dissects the 110. The guy who made that website, he really explained every single transistor, what he's doing. And what's remarkable about the 110 is it uses many VCAs, voltage controlled amplifiers, made of just one single transistor. It doesn't get any cheaper. I checked that on a breadboard and it works as a VCA, yeah, sure it does, but it sounds awful. But for the drums, it's exactly perfect.
Yeah, it's the right kind of awful sound. It's a really dirty, great sound. We actually rebuilt it as well for the Mega Multi module.
Yeah.
And we had quite a few problems with this build. We made this over Christmas last year, and it was a nightmare. I mean, the general sound generation, we had a metal noise generator for the hi-hats that worked pretty well.
Yep.
It's basically just a few detuned sine waves, if I recall correctly.
Overlaid. Like 6 sine oscillators with various frequencies mixed together. It sounds great.
It sounds really cool. It's basically how hi-hats were generated. We also made a module out of that, the liquid hi-hat, but we'll present that another time. And the kick and snare were also fairly problem-free, I reckon, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And the big problem was the clap module, because, you know, the DR110, the original one, is operated and controlled by a microcontroller.
Yeah, and this microcontroller creates a burst of triggers for the clap unit.
So it doesn't just go clap, it goes clap, 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 quite quickly after another. So it sounds like several people clapping their hands at once, in theory.
Yeah. So we did not have that microcontroller, and I tried to rebuild this using monoflop circuits, things like that. And I first did that in LT Spice, and there it worked great. Yeah, I created the bursts just fine. Then I created PCB, built everything, and sorry, no, close but no cigar. It was not doing its thing, and so we decided that we can live without a clap unit.
Yeah, but then when we checked the sound of the kick and snare, I mean, they were good, but they were not that good. They're not exactly what we wanted in this unit. So in the end, what we ended up doing was gutting the unit and just using the hi-hat and cymbal sounds as one unit. We added a pod control to adjust the length of each hi-hat, of the close and open hi-hat, so we have some more control over that, but that's basically the only modification we did. And we put that into a rack mountable module, and that lives in my modular synth now. But we still didn't have a kick and snare for the main drum sound of the live rack, and that's where the Roland 808 came in. The 808 is a classic sound. I don't need to explain what it is here, because everyone knows it. These days, 808 is known for its kick sound, and it's just any long sine wave kick used in trap production. But what we have built is an original rebuild of the Roland TR808 kick drum and snare. And we have done a few modifications to them. I think the 808 we have modified so that the kick tail lasts a lot longer, like I think 2 or 3 or 4 seconds long if we wanted to get some really sick kick sounds. And we also modified the snare. I'll get to that in a bit. Now, where do we get the schematics for the 808 from?
Yeah, there's another great website from a guy named Eric Archer. He presented us with all the schematics and build instructions and so on. So I took the schematics and built our own PCB, and yeah, it didn't present too much of a problem, except it didn't work. Yeah, so I was trying to figure out what's wrong. Is there an error in my PCB? Is there soldering bad or short circuit, something like that? And I found that there's one resistor. When I modify that, I get more amplitude and we're starting to hear sound. That was cool, so I added a potentiometer to make that resistor variable. While doing that, I noticed my mistake. There was indeed a faulty soldering connection. Once I fixed that, the sound was great. But while I was calling for George and I asked him, here, take a look at that, listen. And he played around with it, and then he said, and this knob, what is it that for? It was the one I built in for the resistor, yeah? And he tried that out and he was amazed because...
It sounded really cool. It adds some really weird distortion to the white noise of the snare drum. And it sounds so cool, we ended up building it into the module. It's our own little feature, some 808 snare distortion right on the module itself.
So what we did is an classic 808 with a few modifications.
Yeah, and that's the drums for my modular synth. You can hear them in the full production on my EP Midnight 87 Old Satellites, but I'm also going to show you a short sound demo right now. Okay, so what we have here are the drums. These are the drums. We've got the kick here, the snare here, and these are the hi-hats and cymbals. Let's start with the kick drum. That sounds cool, that's a classic 808 kick. And that's how much we can get with that. That's the decay. With the level you can adjust the pitch of this drum. And the tone basically adjusts the snappiness. You know that from any 808. Then we've got the snare. That's the distortion. This is a normal 808 snare sound. Let's adjust the what's called level here. That does sound pretty fucking cool, doesn't it? And now we've got the hi-hat. This is the closed hi-hat. And the open hi-hat. And the cymbal. Let's build a little beat with that. Got some bass going on as well. Right, so last week we also got a few comments on the video, and this one stuck out to me particular. This is from a Nick Wood, and he asks, also general engineering question for your dad. When selecting op amps and transistors for a design, what is your process? Do you pick them based on certain specs, or what you have, or just general use, etc.?
What you should do is pick a transistor by specs. What I in reality do is I pick a transistor, a universal transistor. We're dealing here with audio circuitry. So what I do is in all the audio circuitry we do, I use only two transistors. That's the 3904 and the 3906. Those transistors have been used since the 70s by Mr. Moog. So I thought, well,
can't go wrong with that, can you?
You can't. And sometimes you have to modify the circuitry a little bit because of different gain it has. But so far, I haven't found a project where they don't work. And for the op amps, basically all op amps deriving from the 071, TL071 are usable. The design decision then is, do I take the 071, which is a single op amp in one 8-pin package, or do I take the dual op amp, which is a 072, or the quad op amp, which is a 074. You see, all of them are made of field effect transistors, so they have a very, very high impedance on the input, and you can use them for everything. If it comes to situations where you need an operational amplifier with a low noise, then you would choose more modern op-amps. There are a bunch of those, but all these op-amps behave exactly the same.
So, and as we were both traveling this week, we didn't get too much done on the wavetable synth, but we have managed to connect up the faceplate.
Yeah, we drilled the front plate, populated it, as you can see it here, and so now I'm in the process of making everything work. Right now, no noise is coming out.
No sound.
Right now, no sound is coming out. I will find that and fix it.
Yeah, but now it looks more like a proper module. And if you would like to hear more of my music and or modules, check out my Instagram, that's @GeorgeKMusic_, and check out our website for other previous projects, that would be fatherindsynthesizer.wordpress.com. And as always, thank you very much for watching, see you again next week, and remember, stay curious!